Hey, everybody, and welcome to Tribal Trading. This is the second part two, I should say, of my crypto cheat sheet. We've already done part one, where I unveiled 3 of the crypto projects that I feel. I'm going to do a top 20, so I think there'll be about 6 or 7 parts to this. And I've already gone over 3 great tokens that I love, that I'm personally invested in and think are going to have a great run. And some of it, there's already been a good run up. So this is a crypto cheat sheet. Part 2, I'm going to go over 3 more coins today for you. And, so if you could smash the like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, you'll be notified when the next part 3 comes out, or any new videos or content that I post there. It would really help get the channel out. Feel free to share this content, comment, and also there are some links below in the description. These are all different exchanges that you can sign up depending on where you live and what your jurisdiction is. Please check that. And there's a NordVPN as well. These are all referral links. Full disclosure, if you click on these and sign up using any of these referral links, you will get, depending on the exchange, either some free crypto, some reduced trading fees, or what other goodies they might be, or rewards, I should say, that they might be offering at the time. NordVPN, you should get a few free months free when you sign up with my referral link as well. I also get some rewards and benefits, full disclosure. So it is a win-win situation there. So please, if you haven't signed up for some of those exchanges, you'll need to. There's some referral links right there for you. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the very first number 4, because we've gone to 1, 2, and 3. And just full disclosure, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. And this is for education and entertainment purposes only. So I have actually categorized all of the different cryptos into categories. Not last week's, but part 1's was not emerging, but was blue chip blockchains from last cycle. These 3 that I'm going to cover today are emerging blockchains. So they're not as the other 3 that I covered last week. They're a lot newer. They're from last cycle. 2 of these are from this cycle. And you could argue the third one should be this cycle, but it kind of leaks into a little bit before this cycle. So the first one here is Sui. And you got to understand with Sui, it's a new blockchain, but it was a Facebook. They're a Facebook team. They used to be Facebook. And they were part of Facebook's blockchain metaverse kind of endeavor that they were jumping into. And this team left. They had to leave because Facebook abandoned what they were doing. Meta, I should say. They rebranded to Meta. They left what they were doing. And so, but the team split, and half the team went and formed a blockchain called Aptos, and then half the team took and formed the blockchain called Sui. And what makes this project unique is that they developed a new programming language called Move, and the developer and the creator of that programming language actually went with the Sui team. And watching some interviews, they now say that even though when they went, they both had the same code, they feel Sui is very much different than when they left. And so they're very much different than Aptos. I've had to pick one, Sui or Aptos, and I've gone with the Sui side of things. I think that for me, hopefully that decision will be vindicated. And so Sui is a blockchain. The speed is high. I'm not going to go into all the utility of it. I think I'll save that for a separate Sui video where I can kind of jump into how it compares to Solana. But it certainly is boasting speeds right up there, along with Solana and ease of use, etc. It's got some great projects on it that I have personally looked at and felt that they are building, it seems to be a good community of apps on their ecosystem. So with Sui, what have we got here? We've got some potential entries. Now, I've gotten this one a lot earlier, around the 60 cent region. And so maybe even lower, actually. I might have gotten as low as 30 cents. But I always look at these kind of things as when I'm looking at Sui, I'm going to pretend that I'm looking at this from I don't own any. And generally, I like to scale into positions. I like to build a position, a ladder in, dollar cost average. And so if I had like $1,000 to put into Sui and I had none, the price is sitting around $1.06 right now. But I might think, well, what if it just takes off from here? I want to have exposure to this. the first question I have to ask myself is, do I want exposure to this? 100% yes. It's down from about $2.10, so that's been a significant 50% pullback. Still, for me, an aggressive entry would be around $1.06. So I might say, look, I'm going to put $200 and buy $200 worth of SUI at around the current price of $1.06, $1.05. It's been sitting around that range for the last couple of days. And then if it drops, I've got other entries around $1 to $1.03, 89, 91 cents, and 60 to 71 cents. And I can load up the rest of the budget at those zones. And therefore, I've scaled into the position. Now, I also will scale out of the position as well and take profits on the way up. Now, where I take profits is really dependent upon where I bought the coin at. I'm never one for like putting, take profit here, take profit here, take profit. And I'm not ever going to say that anyway. But how I work it is if I'm like 3x up on my purchase, so if I buy it $1 and now SUI's at $3, then I'm going to take some profit. If I bought it at $1 and it's up at $5, then I'm going to then now take more profit at the $5 mark, and then at the $10 mark, and if it gets high enough, $15, $20 mark as it goes up. And so I'm scaling out of the position, and hopefully as we get near to the end of this bull run, which I'm going to do a separate video on that, or where I feel the end of the bull run might be and how much longer I feel that we might have. And I'm a very much of this, if this, then that trader. And so I like to give updates. So I will be updating these sheets as we go along of what potential tops might be. My potential top of $8 to $9, that could change. That could very change. If we hit $8 to $9 in the next 3 months, I'll probably change and say, hey, you know what? I think we could go a little bit higher and give a revised target. And so if we have a huge jump here, of course, I would look at other entries a little bit lower. But I do think overall, for where we are right now, I feel like in the crypto market, and I always look at probabilities, where I think there's more of a chance that we go up than go down in the next week or two. 70% probability, in my opinion, that we go up, and 30% probability that we go down. Now, that can change. What happens if we get a bad close, a weekly close on Sunday, is that I might change that. I might say 50-50, or I might flip to, you know what, I feel like we're 70% chance of going down, 30% chance of going up. So I'm very much of if this, then that kind of trader. And so here we have the different entries there. We have an aggressive entry. It is an aggressive entry because it's kind of right where price is right now, but there has been a little bit of support between $1.03 to $1.05. So it's not a bad place for me to put an entry in. And, I've also entries at 89 and 91 and 60 to 71 if we're fortunate enough to get down there. Now, the only caution I would have with SUI being a newer coin is the fully diluted valuation, the FDV. What does the FDV look like? Well, if we go to SUI here, we can see, it's popped up to $1.07. The fully diluted valuation essentially is how many coins are on the market. Supply, what's the total supply, and what's the total circulating supply? So if and this is the same for any coin, if there's 1 million coins on the market of supply and only 100,000 in circulation, then the FDV score is not going to be very good. It's going to be around 10% or 10. So this is not great. This is 23%. Only 23% of the tokens, a total amount of tokens are in supply. Where are the rest, you ask? That's a great question. I'm not going to get into that today, but generally with most tokens, they're locked up with the founders, investors, the team, venture capitalists, and they have unlock periods. And you can actually go, there's a website, Token Unlock, so you can find out when a certain token is going to be unlocked and how much of that supply is going to be unlocked. Now, it's not a big deal as long as that token that gets unlocked, and if it gets sold onto the market, the founders may, or whoever have it, let's just assume that the founders have some tokens locked. Are they even going to sell? They might be unlocked and they may hold them, they may stake them. And I'm going to do other videos on how to earn yield on your crypto and yield farming and staking your tokens so that you can earn percentage gains on them while you're waiting for the market to go up and grow and get your price targets and get your take profit targets. And so FDV is very important to look at. In this case, I'm willing to go in and say, hey, for me, and this is me personally, It's a risk to go in and say, hey, I feel like over time, these tokens are going to get brought up. This is such a fantastic project. I really like this blockchain, and I'm not, but it is a caution for me. It's something that I don't like, the tokenomics. And these are three things that I always look for in a coin. I'll cover in another video is the tokenomics, which is the supply and the circulating supply amongst a few other attributes. The community, is the community strong? In this case, yes, the community is very strong. Is the utility great? The utility is fantastic. It's great, has a great use case. I just have a little bit of a caution on the tokenomics on this one. So just be aware of that basically there are 23. And to compare that with some other tokens out there, like a Solana, I think like 80% of the tokens are already being released and only 20% is still locked up or something like that. So, but Solana's been around a little bit longer, and so they've had all their token unlocks. And that's something you're kind of front running this technology and saying, hey, the tokens, even though there are token unlocks coming up, and I'd have to look into that. And this is why I'll do a deep dive on Sui. We'll jump in I'll do a full video on it, and we'll look into the tokenomics. We'll look at when those tokens are going to be unlocked. I mean, if they're not going to be unlocked for 4 years, then that's a lot better for tokenomics. So even though it's 23, there might not be any more tokens to be unlocked. They just had some tokens unlocked this month in 2024. I think it was about the beginning of this month. Hence the massive price depreciation from $2.10 down to, I think it actually went down to the 80-cent, 90-cent mark, which is where I picked up some additional stuff. All right, so the next one that we're going to look at here, token number 5, is going to be Casper. And so Casper right now is sitting around the 13 cent. One of the things I like about Casper is for tokenomics. The tokenomics is really, really much better than that of Sui, because for Casper, and I'm just doing a quick check on the price here, we're actually up to 14 cents. So that is kind of nice there, that is appreciating. But if you look at Casper, actually they have a fully diluted valuation of 100%, because they have all the tokens that they'll ever have are totally all in supply. So we're good on that. And if you have a look, we can have a look here and say, okay, the fully diluted valuation, market cap. So we got circulating supply around 23 billion, total max supply. And so you can see, therefore, it has that's what you want to see, the one there, which is absolutely fantastic. I think there are other coins that have that as well. So Casper is all in, all those tokens. There's none locked up, ready to be dumped. That doesn't mean that the founders and team don't have large quantities of Casper and can't sell them at any time, but it certainly means that all the tokens that are actually out there are the supply, they're actually out there circulating. So Casper is an emerging blockchain. Again, I'm not going to go into the tech. Yes, good tech, good utility, ticks that. Community's great. And obviously the tokenomics look pretty solid and the supply isn't crazy. So that's fairly decent. It's had a huge run up already. That's the only thing I would say to that. It's done a huge percent already. But I have entries there at 11 to 13 cents, 8 to 10 cents, and 5.5 cents to 7.5 cents. And I don't have an aggressive entry there, but I would say an aggressive entry for Casper would be pretty much where it is now, at about 13 to 14 cents. Again, I think this is one. And again, this is just how I do it. This is not financial advice. This is just education, entertainment, how I would trade Casper if I don't have any Casper. And I do have Casper. But if I didn't, I would certainly be saying, hey, I'm going to collect some at around 13 cents, maybe a $200 buy, $250 buy, and then look at purchasing a little bit more. And that way, if it just takes off from here, if it takes off from 14 cents and goes up to $1, I've got some. And again, I have to decide, do I really want this token? Do I want to be invested in this token? Because sometimes I look at a token and I go, yeah, I'd like to, but I'd only like to at this price. So I might think of Casper and say, yeah, I like Casper, but I don't love it. and I might only get in with Casper if it comes back to this price. And if not, I'm just happy to let it go because there's just been so much upside already. So you have to really decide that first. If you really want to be invested, if you really want to be in this, then you might take that aggressive entry, knowing that it could come all the way back to here. But if you dollar cost average in at these prices, your average price, if you got half of your tokens at these 11 to 14 prices, then half of them at the 5 to 8 price, your average buy is probably going to be around the 7 or 8, probably around the 8 to 9 cent region. And so that's not too bad. You'll only be down a little bit if you did drop all the way to 5 cents. And of course, if it does go a little bit lower, then I'm going to update these documents and put new price targets in there. Of course, I would be buying. If we drop below 5 cents, I would allocate extra budget toward that. If you don't have it, you just have to be, I would just, if I don't have the extra budget at the time, I would just have to be patient for this to go back up again and not do that lower pricing. Okay, and so the third one here that I have on this one is, here we have it here. And we have, it is the ton chain. So that's the Telegram chain. And the Telegram chain, well, is it owned by Telegram? They're now in partnership. So I think they were together and then they separated, and now they're integrating USDT via the Ton chain. So this one has run up a lot and it's pretty high right now. The current price was $6.30. But I just checked, and this has jumped. So yeah, that would have been a good entry if you got in on ton at a better price. Just look at the price. We're at $6.41 right now. So yeah, this is. I still think the best entry for me, if you want to get an aggressive entry, which would be about $6.15 to $6.20. So I'm going to just change that slightly, $6.15 to $6.20. That would be the aggressive entry. If you get in now around the current price, which is around $6.40, that is a super aggressive entry. But if, I found this, where I've looked and thought, something's already run up. Look at Solana. It already run up $13. I was like, $10, $11 or whatever it was. And I just thought, you know what? I really believe in this project. I've done a deep dive into it. I bought $100 worth of it, and it turned into a $7,000 by the time I completely cashed out of the position. Up at around $250 or $260. We're at $240. Can't quite remember exactly where it got to. So if you really believe in a project, again, this is the way to scale in and scale out. You can scale in. You don't have to go in and bet the farm at $6.40. You could just throw $100 at her at $200 and then throw $300 at the $5.60 to $5.80 and $300 at the $4.80 to $5.10 and a few $100 at the $3 mark. So there are some other entries there. This one's a lot harder because it's I think it's just come down from about $7.25 or around that. So it has a little bit of a pullback, and it kind of pulled back to the $6.15 region, and now it's back at $6.40. So it's just one of those tokens that just could keep going, or it could just drop down and hit some of those lower prices. So just be careful if you are wanting to trade along with me on this one. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. These are just some price targets that I like personally. And if we look at TON, what have we got here? We have fully diluted valuation of 0.68. So it's not too bad. Not too bad. Looks like it's got 5 billion tokens. Is that right? And then 3.5 in circulating supply. So yeah, this is an interesting one for me. It's definitely, out of all the ones I've given, it's probably the riskiest play out there because it's so close to the top. It's less than $1. It was about $1 down from where it had been. So it's not, like I said, if you're scaling in and you're building a position, you're laddering in, dollar cost averaging, however you want to call it. I like scaling or building a position. I think that's not, that could be a good strategy. And like I said, I would be careful personally. If I was trading this level, I would probably buy some at this level if I had none. That's not the case. I've bought at lower levels. But if I didn't have any, possibly I would buy a little bit at this level, and then I would wait and see what happens. And if it moons from there and that's all I had, then so be it. I would rather do that. Sometimes, if this was down at $3 or $3.30 or something, I might be a little bit more aggressive and use half my budget or a third of my budget, because I feel like there are a lot of local bottom indicators and stuff. And so basically, you can feel a little bit more confident about trading a coin. I'll go into that in another video, what I use to kind of determine when the market is kind of topping out, and also when a market I feel is kind of bottoming out, and there are some good opportunities to snap up tokens at a low price. And I've found these indicators to be pretty accurate, and I've managed to take a lot of profits at what I consider to be local tops before there was a big correction. And then I've managed to really scoop up coins at a much lower price because I've been able to identify what I feel a local bottom. And you don't always get the exact top or the exact bottom, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a feel for if the market is getting frothy, overcooked, overbought, and is due a correction or a pullback. That's a great time sometimes to take profits. So sometimes I don't wait for the 300x, 3x or the 5x or the 10x. Sometimes I'll take profit a little bit earlier based on that, knowing that I'm pretty confident that the local top is in or almost in, and that I can get these tokens and buy them back and I can accumulate. And of course, I'll finish off this video, and I'll say this in a lot of the videos, the main ways I trade are 3 ways. One is a trade. You just get in and then you get out, and you're completely out. You sink in X amount of dollars, it goes up 20, 30%, and then you get out, and you get out of the position and you take the 30%. The other way is through holding. That there are certain tokens that I have that I don't get out of the position. I just take profit on the way up. And then the goal is to be mostly out of those positions, 80 to 90% out of those positions by the time the bull market is over, and we come down, if that happens like it has each other time. And therefore I'll, with 10, 20% left, I'll have a moon bag. And so I'm not reaccumulating at lower prices generally. I'm just taking profit on the way up until I have a very small bag. And if the market then keeps going up, I have a moon bag just in case, and I'm good to go. Like if you sunk $100 into a token and it's now up at 1,000, and you've taken $900 profit off the table, and so you got $900 there, and there's just $100 left of that token in value, and then the market pops down, I'm not going to be worried about that because I got $900 out and I just left a moon bag just in case. And then if it does take off and do another 10x, I can take another $900 profit in, and that's the way that it would go. So that's how I approach it. And then obviously the third way is through accumulation, and this is a method that I'll share in a different video, is where there are certain tokens that I will say, hey, I really believe in these tokens. I think they're going to have a real long run up, because in the last bull market there were kind of two cycles. It crashed in April 2021, and a lot of altcoins crashed down with Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin went back up to 69, not all altcoins went with it. Only some of them, such as Solana was one of them, went with Bitcoin. And many of them actually, I found, because I was holding some of those, and I was thinking, okay, no worries, Bitcoin's going to go up. They just didn't go anywhere, and they didn't move. And so you've got to be able to identify those narratives and say, okay, and this is why taking profits on the way up, you can't just think, oh, I'll take profits just before Bitcoin has its top signal and then comes crashing down and brings all the alts with it. You've got to, I feel there should be caution there, where, I never met anybody who lost money taking profits. And so it's not a bad idea to be taking some profits on the way up, have a moon bag ready to go. And then the accumulation method is a coin like Solana from last cycle, where I traded it, I sold more and then brought back lower, and now I've got more Solana and then sold, and then I just kept selling and accumulating all the way up to the top. And then when I felt and identified there was this could be the end of the cycle, I got as much out profit as I could, and just left a little bit of a moon bag as it is. It didn't go up any further, came down, so I still had some Solana from the last cycle. So I hope that helped everybody today. I'm trying to keep it to 20 minutes. This one is bordering on 25, so sorry I went a little bit longer. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for part 3. I'm going to do tokens 7, 8, and 9, which is a different narrative. And I hope you have a great day. Happy trading, and we'll see you in the next one.